Hey everybody, Matty here with Altcoin Buzz. Happy Tuesday. Today we're providing you with an overview of all the various Bitcoin price predictions out there, from the overly pessimistic to perhaps the overly optimistic, from the very bitter to the very wide-eyed and hopeful. A lot of people in the space have different opinions. Even people from outside the space have opinions on the subject, as you know, including individuals like Mr. Wonderful, Nouriel Roubini, Brad Sherman, Jamie Dimon, and Donald Trump, the President of the United States himself. We'll provide you with that overview and then a very specific quantitative rundown of precise predictions toward the end of the video. Make sure you stay tuned to the end of this video as well for all the rules and details you need to know about this upcoming giveaway that we're doing this Saturday, the 18th of January. We are indeed giving away another CryptoTag Zeus starter kit. Let's first, however, celebrate the fact, take a moment and recognize that Bitcoin, as Altcoin Buzz IO is tweeting, has once again crossed $8,500. And with that being said, we can breathe a sigh of relief as we take a look at the markets here on coinmarketcap.com. 228, almost $229 billion total market cap. Bitcoin soaring right now, up over 5% in the last 24 hours. It sits at $8,558. And there are a few projects that are really flying at this time. As you can see here, Zcash at number 28, up 16.51% on the day. Dash at number 18, up 26.11% in the last 24 hours. But most noticeably here in the top 30 or so, Bitcoin SV up 31.4% in the last 24 hours. Bitcoin dominance down ever so slightly, 67.9%. It's a nice morning to wake up to, that's for sure. Before we get into the specific price predictions, just want to lay out some exposition for you all, beginning on Bitcoinist.com. New prediction model puts Bitcoin price at $55,000 after the 2020 halving. The quick rundown here is that we will hit, as many people feel, $1 trillion market cap after 2020. Bitcoin halving will reduce the Bitcoin supply, and because of supply and demand dynamics, that's going to increase the price. And as many also believe, Bitcoin is better than gold. Here on EthereumWorldNews.com, Bitcoin price getting, quote, close to a buy, Fundstrat's Lee declares on CNBC. We are, of course, talking about Fundstrat's Thomas Lee. And then on BeinCrypto.com, Bitcoin at $100,000, more likely than ever. Analysts make case for huge gains. On CCN here, going even more hyperbolic, Adam Back, $10 million Bitcoin prediction is closer than it sounds. And on Bitcoinist.com, Bitcoin celebrates a huge milestone this month, and that is actually the 11-year anniversary of its first use case. It's nice to see that that's also correlated with increasing usage and transactions among new users. And then here on Decrypt.co, Hal Finney's idea now sees $18 million Bitcoin price prediction. A cypherpunk Hal Finney made his infamous Bitcoin thought experiment 11 years ago, and we updated it for this decade. Okay, so needless to say, those are a lot of different articles. You guys can check them out if one of them in particular or all of them stand out to you and pique your interest. But the point that I'm trying to make is that a lot of people have a lot of different opinions in this space, and it can be difficult really to narrow in on any one individually. So that's not what we've done. We've provided you with an overview. However, here's what we're going to spend some more time on CryptoTicker.io, the top 14 Bitcoin price predictions, expert opinions analyzed. Once we go through these 14, I'm going to let you know which one I most closely associate with, which one I think may be the most likely. But let's go through them quickly first. John Pfeffer says $700,000. John Pfeffer is basically a finance guy, and while he didn't put a time frame on that prediction, this is likely a best case scenario. So whenever you feel Bitcoin is going to reach the height of its popularity, in my opinion, a decade or two or more from now, I think that's basically what he's referring to as far as the $700,000. Next, we have Cameron Winklevoss talking about $320,000. Of course, the Winklevoss twins were big in the world of Facebook. They moved on to really get very involved in Bitcoin and found the Gemini exchange. Cameron Winklevoss specifically is calling for Bitcoin to reach $320,000 within the next couple of decades. So he's providing a pretty long time horizon there, and I think he's actually being fairly conservative. Then you have Tim Draper, who's calling for $250,000 or $250,000 price tag. And Draper is calling for Bitcoin to hit 250K by 2023, very specifically. Quote, $250,000 means that Bitcoin would then have about a 5% market share of the currency world, and I think that may be understating the power of Bitcoin. Tracy Mayer is calling for $115,000 per Bitcoin in the next 11 months. Vinny Lingham, $100,000 $700,000 to $1 million. Pretty big range right there. So that certainly helps your predictive power, where you can say, well, it's going to fall anywhere between this amount and that amount. However, here's where I certainly agree with Lingham. He concedes that in order for the alt currency's value to soar, it needs to move from being just a digital commodity to becoming a store of value as well as a legitimate transaction medium. In other words, pragmatism and use cases are at the top of the agenda in terms of importance. BobbyLee is the co-founder of BTCC and the brother of Litecoin creator Charlie Lee, and he's calling for Bitcoin prices to hit $60,000 by 2020. Next up, we have Jeet Singh with a $50,000 prediction, somewhat more modest as far as this list goes. As you can see here, the numbers are moving downward. Next, we have David Drake with a call for $30,000. He's the founder of LDJ Capital. He does see the trajectory moving upwards, however, and feels that as the awareness regarding cryptocurrency continues to grow, it would not be surprising to see Bitcoin becoming increasingly more expensive. Max Keiser is calling for $28,000. Thomas Lee of Fundstrat, as we discussed a little earlier, $25,000. Now we explore some of the naysayers. Kenneth Rogoff with a call for $100. The likelihood of Bitcoin falling to $100 was greater than that of the digital currency rising to $100,000 a decade from now. Harvard economist Kenneth Rogoff said regulation would be a trigger for lowering prices, although he acknowledged that it would not be an overnight development. Bill Gates is next on our list. He says that Bitcoin will go to zero, and he's been an adamant hater for some time, several years in this space. And while he hasn't ever given an official price prediction for Bitcoin, he is quite sure that the asset will become worthless in the coming few years. And we have Joe Davis, who also echoes that sentiment, calling for a $0 Bitcoin. Not very likely, in my opinion. But hey, you got to balance out the optimistic predictions with the negative ones. And we have a similar list here on blockonomy.com, which we'll run through quickly. Bitcoin price predictions for 2020 from $0 to $1 million. What do the experts think? It's no surprise here that Nouriel Roubini starts off our list, and he is calling for $0. You know, I understand if you're against cryptocurrency. I understand if it's not your jam, and maybe you're not quite philosophically or economically aligned. But in what reality do you see this asset going to $0, even if it crashes by 99%? It is mathematically impossible that if Bitcoin continued to crash and just became absolutely obsolete, that nobody would buy it for even $1 across the entirety of this globe. Nouriel Roubini just strikes me as a bitter individual with an axe to grind and a chip on his shoulder. What a preposterous prediction. Nevertheless, he quotes individuals like Donald Trump, who he says is right about Bitcoin. President Trump, of course, said that cryptocurrencies have no fundamental value. Peter Schiff, whom we've discussed in the past, said that Bitcoin's value in 2020 will maybe be about $1,000 or so. BitMEX research suggests that it's going to fall in the $2,000 to $15,000 range. Andy Chung calls for $14,000. Altcoin Daily, $20,000. You can check out the video there. As we saw, Tom Lee, $25,000 by 2022. Peter Brandt, perhaps below about $6,800 before we get to $50,000 or more. Now we're getting higher. Antony Tentrev, $50,000. Plan B, $55,000. Thomas Sales, $80,000. Mark Yusko, $100,000. Tim Draper, $250,000, who says, quote, this is going to be so big, so if you see a dip, jump in. Maybe it will dip further, but boy, I made that prediction and I'm sticking to it. $250,000 by 2022 for Bitcoin. And that happens to be my personal prediction that I'm also getting behind. I think it's the most realistic, but it's also well balanced with some optimism. So I'm getting behind Tim Draper, $250,000 by 2022. Further down on this list, as we saw, Cameron Winklevoss, $320,000. However, that's in the decades to come. John Pfeffer, even higher than that. John McAfee, $1 million. Just kidding. Of course, he has reneged on his bet with the internet. And finally, we have the Bitcoin time traveler who's calling for $1 million by 2021. The Bitcoin time traveler comes to us from the future and said the following, quote, I am sending this message from the year 2025. Things are looking bleak here, and some of you will carry blood on your hands. On average, every year so far, the value of Bitcoin has increased by about a factor of 10, from about $0.1 in 2010 to $1 in 2011, 10 in 2012 to 100 in 2013. From now on, there is a slight slowdown as the value increased by a factor 10 every 2 years to $1,000 in 2015, 10,000 in 2017, 100,000 in 2019, and $1 million in 2021. Perhaps time will tell. Let us know which prediction you subscribe to in the comments below. As I mentioned, and as is explored further here on thestreet.com, I'm getting behind Tim Draper personally, who stands by his $250,000 prediction by 2022. That about wraps it up for the news today, everybody. Do be sure you're following us on all the regular social media channels and keep checking back into altcoinbuzz.io for all the latest. Go ahead, like, subscribe, share, and hit the bell to receive notifications if you've enjoyed this video. Hey, we are giving away, of course, another CryptoTag Zeus starter kit this Saturday. All you have to do to enter and be in contention for that prize is to like all videos between this upcoming giveaway and the last one. Make sure you're subscribed to the Altcoin Buzz YouTube channel and comment on videos. We will be selecting a video comment at random. Best of luck if you choose to invest. And as always, everybody, we do hope to see you again soon in our next video. Take care.